I'm Claire from Created the Ottaway. I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up in the UK. Thank you for joining me today. Really special, amazing day for me. Just setting up, thinking about what I was going to video and what I was going to make. I realised that I'd done 99 videos, so this is my 100th. I find that really shocking. I still get really nervous doing it, all sorts of things. So if you're a demonstrator watching this and you think, I could never do that, do it. You just go on camera and you just talk to yourself, have a bit of fun and just go with it. It's worth it. Today's make, now if you've watched my videos before, try not to waffle too much, but I do like a card that has a bit of a wow on the inside, and this card is that. So it's pretty, it's got a bit of something going on the front, but in the inside it opens like that and it's a bit of a wow. Looks like a book. I should have looked up what it was called really. I'm going to call it a book card because to me that's what it looks like. This one was specifically made with a certain person in mind, which is why it's quite lovely. Lots of pretty flowers because I know she loves her flowers, and some really nice sentiments. I love Stampin' Up sentiments. I just think some of them are just say just the right thing that you want to say. I can't explain it more than that. Go through your sentiments, go through all your stamp sets and just pick out certain ones that you really love. I tend to use the same ones over and over, apart from the classic happy birthday ones and happy anniversary. There's some with some really lovely words, and quite often they've got a couple of fonts in them, so like this one for instance, and that really makes it pop off of the page. This card is a mix of all different sets. I've got this sentiment from In the Moment. I've got this sentiment from this set, Ranunculus Romance. I'm sure I'm not saying that right. And this sentiment here from my all-time favourite, because I'm very British and I love a cup of tea, take care of yourself. So a real mix of them. The paper that I've used on this one is in the mini Stampin' Up brochure, if you've got one of those, and it's the free paper from the Wonderful World series. The one I'm going to make with you today, I think is going to have the Splendid Day paper, which is very shiny and sparkly, some foil paper, so I'm hoping that that's going to show up on camera. But yeah, what else have I used? Very quickly, I've sort of layered up the background with stitched with whimsy dies. When I first got them, I've got to admit I was a bit disappointed because they just leave an impression, they don't cut out. But actually, I've grown to love them, like you do. This piece of paper, I just rolled the corner. That seems to be really popular at the moment. How did I roll the corner? I've got one of these kebab type sticks. Where's a piece of paper? Never find a piece of paper. Okay. So just hold it on your paper and just roll over the corner. Doesn't need to go very far, but it's much easier to roll round something like so. Super easy. When you're trying to roll it with your fingers, it doesn't work. If I try and do that this time, you end up squashing the paper. But if you do it round something like a cocktail stick or something like that, it really wants to do it. So that's a quick tip there to do that. The other bit that I've used here, so that is a die, very unassuming die, looks just like that really. I mean, what does that look like? Nothing. Comes in this this die set, Blossom in Happiness, but it looks like note paper and it's really effective. So I'd recommend getting that if that's not on your list, because I've used that on lots of cards. That's it really, just layered up with some Sahara sand card and some white card, and that's it for this one. Okay, so what are we using? We're going to use some white, basic white, just a bit of basic white. You probably need 2 pieces of A4, and I'm using this colour from the Splendid Day. Again, I hope it's showing up on camera. It's got seesaw foam on one side, and it's got this rather lovely print on the other side. You don't tend to see too much of the other side, but it does show up. So if I show you this, you can see it but can't see it. It's sort of there but not there, if that makes sense. So what do we need? We need a card base of 5 7/8 by 8 2/8. So just do that in your coloured card or a plain white, something that coordinates. And then the inside card, either do it in the same colour or a contrast or some designer series paper. I decided to go with designer series paper, so it really is a wow when you open it. You know that one moment when somebody, you give them a card and they go, oh, it's one of those handmade cards, and then they open it and they go, oh wow, oh my goodness, that's amazing, and you feel all nice and warm and gooey inside. That's the moment I'm looking for. So the inside piece needs to be 9 inches by 5 7/8. And there's a few little bits and pieces that you do with that, so I'll talk you through it very slowly. I like to do fun folds or wow cards and then show you how to do them as simply as possible, so you can have that warm and fuzzy feeling. Okay, first bit of white card, we are going to do the base. So on the long side, I'm going to turn it at 5 7/8 or measure it at 5 7/8. If you're struggling with the measurements, 7/8, 3/8, things like that, just have a bit of practice on some printer paper and just figure out what works for you. Some people do it this way round, some people turn the cutting paper trimmer upside down for me, but they find it easier the other way round. But 5 7/8 is just 2 lines back from 6 inches. Okay, so I am just going to cut that off, just like so. Basically, you're cutting your A4 piece in half, so 2 cards to make. So you've got a piece like that. I'm going to turn it round so it's now on the long side again, and I'm going to score it at 4 1/8. So that's 2 little lines past the 4 inches. Okay, so 4 1/8, and I'm just going to press that a couple of times with my scorer because I want a nice crisp fold. That's the outside of your card, believe it or not. So I'm going to put that to one side. I'm going to concentrate on the inside. So I've got a piece of paper here. I haven't measured this, so I'm hoping it's going to be okay. I've only just realised, I've been playing with this paper a lot, that there's like a hidden ladybird in it. At first I thought, oh, what's that on that paper? Is it not printed properly? But I went and checked the others, and there's like a little ladybird. How cute is that? Okay. So this is, I think it's half of a 12 by 12, but I'm just going to check because I need a piece that is 5 7/8. So again, it's 2 lines back from 6 inches, 5 7/8. Okay, so look, ever such a thin sliver off that even I'm not going to keep. And then on the long side, it needs to be 9 inches. So that's probably off my camera angle, 9 inches. Remember, we're doing the inside of our card now. Now there's another nice bit there. Keep that, you might use that for the front. Okay, so we've now got a piece of designer series paper or card, whichever you've used, like this. We're going to do some score lines. So if you bear with me, I'll do it as clearly as I can. So we are going to do the first one. Make sure your paper's the right way round. I'm pretty lucky with this paper. It's an any way up piece of paper. The first score line is going to be 1.5 inches. Now get rid of that cutting blade. It's so frustrating when you cut instead of trimming. You don't want to be doing that. So 1.5 inches. Okay, the whole length. So you've got the long side at the top and you're doing 1.5 inches. Then you do 4.5 inches. Okay, so again, 4.5 inches. All the whole length of it. And then the last one is 7.5. 7.5, okay? So just 3 score lines on there. 1.5, 4.5 and 7.5, okay? Then what you're going to do now is fold your paper in half, like so. So I've got the folded piece here and the open bit here, okay? Now what you're going to do is take that and we're going to turn it so the open part is at the top of your trimmer, okay? You're going to find 1 inch here. Remember, it's still folded in half. Open bit is at the top and put it to 1 inch there, okay? Now you're going to cut. So you're going to cut up to the 1 inch that's here. So let me get a bit of white paper just so you can see. If I put that under there, can you see those measurements along the side? And we're looking for the 1 inch. And then on the blade, if I bring the blade back in, this is why I love Stampin' Up. On the side is a little line that tells you that that's where the cutting blade is. Okay, so you've measured 1 inch here and you're going to cut up to 1 inch. So press down quite firmly and stop when you get to 1 inch. Okay, so that gives you that flap there and it should have gone through both pieces of your card. So like that. Flip it over and do exactly the same on the other end. Okay, so remember you're going to go to 1 inch. So I find it best to start from the outside. You can get a more firmer grip on your trimmer. Get to 1 inch and that's it. Now you can see that your cut line goes past your first score line, okay? So turn that sideways and what you're going to do is do a score from this point here to this point here. So you're not going to score right to the end, you're just joining these 2 lines. Now you can do it just by sight. Get rid of that cutting blade because, oh, I can't tell you how many times I've cut this instead of scored it. So there's a groove here that is where your cutter or your scorer goes. So if you have a look, you can find the end of your cut line and use your scorer and just join it. Now my paper's still folded, so it's scoring both sides at once. So can you see I've got a score line there, a score line that goes the whole right there. If I turn it over, there's also a score line there. I am just going to go over that, both sides. So I'm lining it up with my eyesight in the groove and I'm just pressing down in between. Okay? So again, that should be the same both sides. Now the last score line you need to do is you need to go from this edge at 1.5. So if you put your piece of designer series paper at 1.5, you're just scoring the top and the bottom, not this bit. So I'm just scoring there and there and ta-da! You're done. Now it's all about the folding. Okay, so now I want this side as my outside is the bit that when they open it's got a wow. So that is folded in exactly how I want it. But this bit here, I've got to carefully fold it out. So there's a line there and a line there. Okay, so that gives that fold. Okay, haven't done anything with this top bit. The same on this side. Fold it back that way and back that way, and just fold it with your bone folder or your thumbs, whichever you want, and that gives you that, like so. Now this bit, now my hands are going to get in the way, but you bring that bit over, so this bit stays down, the second panel stays down, this bit comes up like so. So let's do that like that. So it's like a V there, or an M, whichever way you want to look at it. Just going to do the same this side. So the first two bits stay. That bit goes like that. And just press those down. So now I've got that. So these middle bits come up. Does that make sense? Ta-da! So that now just needs to be stuck inside your card. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, first, before I've got any glue on it, I have a look at it. I line it up, I think. So I'm just lining up this with the edge of my card. Remember, at this stage, I'm not putting any glue, because once you put glue on, you can't do anything. That needs to be able to fold like so. This bit comes over. I just help it and just make sure that it knows how to fold to fit in my card. So I just reaffirm all the creases just down, so I know that when I bring this side up, it's going to open, and it does. So now I go about sticking it. Now, if you're going to decorate the inside like I did on my one, where is it? Like that. I would probably do that first, because before you stick this in, you can just lay it down flat and press on it. Now, the squares that I put on my first one, the size of those was 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. So let me cut one of those. Honestly, my brain is mush. 3 1/2 by 2 3/4. 3 1/2 by 2 3/4. So 2 3/4 by 3 1/2, and that would go on there, and I would put another panel on that side. Now on my original one, what I did was use some Sahara sand, the same as my outside, and then put some white card. Because this is white on the outside, I think I would just straight away put the white on, but I want to have a little bit of a play of the decoration that I'm going to put on here. I may even use some of these whimsy dies to just decorate the inside. I'm not sure, so I'm not going to stick mine down, but now is when I would do it. I would decorate the inside, stamp on this, do what you want. I'm just going to show you how to stick this into your card so that you can go away and turn it into your own. Now remember, I said we've already offered it up. It knows how we want it to fold. It's all going to fold nicely. Let's concentrate on the gluing. So what you're going to do is this sort of, it's like a backwards C. That's how I can describe it. I'm just going to put some glue on there. Okay, not too much, because I don't want it squirting out everywhere and making my card all gooey. And then I am going to offer it up to this side and line it all up before I press down. Just have a look and make sure it's all in place. Remember, there's only glue on this bit. Even though you could put some glue on there, I haven't, so the card's got a bit of movement. So there's just some glue like that. Before I finally press it, I'm just having a look and making sure it's not over anywhere. Okay, now I'm going to fold this one down. So I'm just helping it, putting it in place. And I'm going to put some glue on this C. This really is a C, it's not a backward C. Put some glue there. And I'm going to bring that over, line it up. Sorry, I'm moving the card around like nobody's business, aren't I? But what I want to do is press it in place while it's shut, just so that I know that the card will shut. Okay, so that just goes like that. Open it up, have a look, make sure that's all nice, and that's it. That's my card. Super simple. So what am I going to do on the front? I think I'm going to do much the same actually. I'm going to cut a piece of white on the front of this and then layer it. I might not do it so vintagey. I can hear you shouting at me, even though you're not. What is this stamp? This stamp is this very beautiful rose from the celebration. Wonderful world set. I'm going to be using that a lot because it really is vintagey. And then my heart, because thank you for sharing my heart. I've just punched a little heart out, just an old punch that I had. But that's how I'm going to finish that. So I am going to go off and finish my card, and if you look on my Instagram or my Facebook page, you'll see the finished article. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Thank you for keeping subscribed to me. Thanks for keeping up with me, liking, sharing your comments, loving all the photos that I get from everybody sharing their makes. It's really inspiring. It gives you fresh ideas all the time, things you hadn't thought about. So that's fantastic. Thank you very much. I don't know what else to say. Bye.